He's a tree nerd. As a compliment. That's a compliment. This one's called Red Cedar. I climbed that red cedar in youth. It tested me in every way. I reached the top to know I was in a crow's nest of an old ship, scanning over the rooftops of every other house in the neighborhood. The best view I ever had of the world. On chilly nights when I had to set sail, I'd go up to watch every window's moving lights, and the chimney steam-powered ships moved with me in a fleet of tribal strength. And I was a zany, a mad captain left to his own imagination, steering into every road wave that ever was, tapping the wild roots of it all. That red cedar, that world I had, the living lights of everything I had known the world to be, the entire universe, that red cedar in me. And I have a warm, fuzzy, rhyming one, which I normally don't write, so I'm going to read it. It's called Home. My home is warm. My home is bright. Little feet come down the stairs. My daughter hugs me in the morning. She is love. She is here. My baby boy awakes as well. He giggles when he hears my voice. My wife asleep, still warm in bed. She loves me too by some strange choice. The neighborhood wakes with the sun, each piercing ray through drifting cloud. The birds are dancing too. They are here. They are loud. I look back. I look ahead. The long lines of trauma I've thought of. I look around. I notice here. This is love. This is love. This is called Familiar. In a dream, in orange street light and faint starlight, in nighttime mist that clouds everything, moving through stardust in my old neighborhood. My romantic, painful visions of the past come back, and you were there, and so are you, and so are you, and I am there, and also there, and also there. Those streets and faces, those fences, those houses, those rooms of living and dying with each other. Have any of us really left? Have any of us made it anywhere? Or do we hang in that air as ghosts of the recent past, living as we were, stuck to things? I dream this lost dream sometimes. It's empty in its wandering. It has gaps and silences I cannot bear. It hangs unsaid words and unsaid things in its heavy orange mist air. I could pick a room, sit and wait alone, get old in a chair, waiting for answers that are never there. This is a night on a train window. I don't know that face that's over mine. It seems old, not in years, but in time spent. It stares back through me and I stare through it, floating on a night train window. I focus on the whites of his eyes to not see the black of them and wish I had another drink so I could forget the world flicking by through my translucent face. Printed smears of distorted, sweeping concrete and light, black air and purple silhouetted trees, missing fields with broken flowers after heavy rain, and litter angels picking up what they can find on the streets. It goes by so fast. I don't talk to you anymore. You are in the past, and I cannot get there. Am I the train or the dark air, the seat or the glass? Those eyes or the sadness of that translucent mess? Am I the past tracks, or am I the next? And this one was actually at Janice and Donald's house over one of the lockdowns. Maybe the second one. I don't know. In between 2 and 3. But Riley, my daughter's now 4, was I think a year and a half. And she just started to walk and played in the garden. And I wrote this about that. It's called Everything. Everything the world does, it's doing now. Your small hand grabs mine sometimes. I get to be your energy and you mine. You glance up at me and smile. The joys on this path you bring to life again. Flower pots and stones, puddles and plants, funny garden ornaments. You observe them all carefully 10 times each time as wondrous as before. And I see things again, what moments really are. It feels like I am living for the first time. And Riley stopped doing this, but I still make her go look at the moon, because I love the moon. And now she loves the moon. That's weird what you can pass now. But when she was maybe at 2, she would, every night if she saw it, she would say, "Bye-bye, moon," before she went to sleep. And I thought it was really cute. So I wrote it on that. Bye-bye, moon. She waves the pale pink crescent moon to sleep, a thing that needs affection, needs time, care, that rises and sets, changes shape, color, size, appears and disappears, fascinates the night gazers. One day my little bear will be the same, and she has been given enough of the world, all the earth I can give, all the love in the ground. She will turn into the moon and disappear, fascinating this world in her own way. I'll be at the doorstep. Go, light up this world. Bye-bye, Daddy. Bye-bye, moon. And this is, you'll be happy to know, this is a winter poem, not an autumn poem. All right? But I took 40 autumn poems over and said, "Can we make a book of this?" I'm like, cut it to 20, maybe. It's called Out to the Blue Ridge. I took a friend's truck out to the Blue Ridge in early winter light. I let the engine slowly roar down Skyline Drive, absorbed into the cold, smoky blue of those mountains. Them and I in our best winter light. I forgot how quiet it all is. I hiked up Mount Marshall, saw the blue-tinged landscape, the winter blanket clouds, saw the seconds strung out to minutes. Frozen hikers' footprints in the ground, how they would thaw and go, like any imprint we make in this life. Content in all that remains unseen, those who whispered here once, who passed by on foot, on horseback, by car, by chance. Everyone needing to see this, like how good friendships are made, one at a time, how mountains are crafted, one at a time, how any life must be lived, one at a time. I'll give you this truck, my friend won't mind. He'd want you to drive out here alone as I would, wind down the Shenandoahs to your own mountain song. I only request you pass the keys along when you are done, so that alive or long dead or on foot or on horseback or without knowing each other, we have all shared this open road, leaving only our frail fading imprints in the time we were given. This is Trapped Sparrow, it's called. That year I only saved one thing, a sparrow caught on fishing string. In its nest it spun around in panic circles above the ground. I looked around to see my friends all on the ground, to see my dad in dying steps, to see sad truth I'd soon forget, to see my brother crawling low under all the light, burnt and slow. Desperate to stay myself, I needed to save something else. I cupped the little sparrow close. I cut the string and gave him hope to fly again as a real bird, and hoped his flapping wings were heard by anyone or anything, that bird, my only song to sing. This is a spring poem. I might smoking that. It's called April. It is the last day of the month. It's not my favorite, but I like what it offers. Much of my life has been lived in April. I needed a walk today. A frightened deer ran across the path in front of me, smashed into fences, panicked and injured. I've seen a buck get stuck in a fence and break its own neck for no reason. I've seen hawks scoop up ducklings and shred them with talons and beak. And I've celebrated those who've had birthdays in April, loved them and hated them, loved them and lost them. I could hang pictures up of them to live with or hate with or love with or let it go. There's always a sting in April that gets me, and by a particular day I realize the sharp vibrancy of spring green is back in a canopy of what I forget and what I remember. I'm scared too, like the deer this time of year, of anywhere I've called home for a while or rested my head once, trying to float carelessly through the air like I can other times in the year. But April is this way for me. Here I am alive again, scared but also thankful, coursing with the deer, running through this April.
Well, Donal had 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You can have another 5 minutes if you'd like.
5 minutes. Those introductions kill your time. This is Christmas Eve. I actually wrote this about 10 years ago. So I moved to the UK in August 2013, and I wrote this kind of Christmas 2013. And that was about the time we started these poetry. You started those poetry nights in
We did.
Guildford, right? So some of you were some OGs from 10 years ago, and we've kind of evolved, and it's been really nice. I wrote this then. Actually, it's weird. At the end of this, I project about maybe having a family one day. So this Christmas was really weird because some of this at the end, I looked around and was like, ooh, this is kind of what's happening. So, Christmas Eve. Enough sun is left hanging low to turn one side of everything golden. Depending on how you enter into the fading day, your mood is decided by which part of your body enters the light first. Golden hands, golden feet, golden heart, golden mind. Filtering that light, the neighborhood, sifting that horizon gleam, every house, chimney, every small branch on every tree, seeping into things as it passes by until it hits you. Gold-kissed flurries swirl around. Gentle wind-swept snow clouds whip up and look painted in the cold sky. Wind enough to chill your breath and let it wrap around to your opposite ear. Almost a whisper to yourself. Wind enough to sneak a snowflake into your mouth, to melt on the tip of your tongue, freezing all other senses for a moment. Or maybe you ate a flake of gold that circulates your veins. Maybe those clouds have gold trim like one of your childhood pillows had. Maybe it was all there just for you. Standing where you used to live. How could you ever have moved away? How could you ever live here again? One day in the future, on this night, you'll sit in a chair with a good view of the room and the tree. Among certain things, everyone else asleep, whiskey in hand, perhaps a fire softly roaring if you're lucky enough. What will matter most on that day? Your thoughts will say, I hope what's golden is seen by those for whom my love is truly meant.
Yes.
I wrote this one last night, so it's brand new. Kids have ruined poetry for me. I mean, poetry production. Because I enjoy my life a lot more. Not that it's easier, but it's easier to write when you're miserable. Not always. It's called The Owls. I listened to the owls before sunrise with my daughter, both of us frozen with delightful anticipation. Most are asleep, but we are awake and alive. The calls tell us something beneath the stars. I remember what brought me here. Waking with Gramps to discuss the animals we might see in the woods that day. Sitting around a campfire with my father in silence. Until the dark places swallowed me up, and the weight of drunk sadness shut out the parts of life worth living. And one night, passed out on the train tracks, the roaring, shaking, and blinding lights from the coming train forced me awake. And after some years, feathers guided me out somehow, slowly with wisdom dripping out of their wings. I climbed out. Finally, I'm here with my daughter, listening to hope in the darkness, knowing the rising sun awaits us, being our own lights and her being the brightest light of all, reveling in this moment, reveling in these calls.
One more, lovely. Yeah.
I did one from the book. It's an old book now.
Still available, though.
Still available. Oh, there's 2 copies.
There's only 2 in stock, but we can order more.
I guess I'll read one spilled out on a wall. I'll read one about Dad. It's not that happy, but that's all right. It's about my dad dying from cancer. It's called Welcome to the Dying Season, but that's also autumn. You said I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of the unknown. The feeling I used to get before I entered a firefight. Bub, there are firefights I had no business walking out of. I said, well, Dad, it's all unknown. Well, I'll fight it. I guess the rest is up to the great maker. So The last 6 months began in spring. A huge snowdrift remained by the hospital, melting slowly. It had less time than you did. This is all a matter of time. The hospital staff made you wheel out to the road to smoke your cigarettes, and your old Vietnam veteran ass hanging out in the breeze of your hospital gown for drivers to see as they pass by. You have to laugh a little. Summer came. It was hard for us. We took you to the woods one last time, and I knew you could move on then. You spoke in firelight to others, like the old ways, and I had never seen listening like that. Every word said, but more so what had been unsaid and left in roaring firelight. So you died on the last day of summer, so the dying season began. Who's to measure this life in years? You were here for 25 of mine. I wish I had measured our time in seasons instead. That would have been 99. You left me to go through my favorite season alone. Perhaps it had to be that way. The cooling off, the shutting down, the dying land, the falling colors. Now I hope to measure time in seconds only. 1,000 lifetimes left before I see you. And in seconds I know now a single bird song, a single ray of sun, a single piece of frost, and a single apple in cold morning mist, and the seconds delay of pre-sunrise light that most people never stop and see. Welcome the seconds. Welcome to the dying season.
Hmm.
Thanks.